I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mark, and I need to get this off my chest, maybe get some advice or just vent because I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I was with Jessica for almost 3 years. We were supposed to get married next month. Things weren't perfect, sure, but she was my girl, my future wife, the one I trusted more than anyone else. We had our issues like everyone does, but I thought we were solid. Until I started noticing little things that didn't add up. It started a few weeks ago. Jessica, who's always been a bit of a drama queen, bitchy, even started acting differently. She'd be distant, maybe a little defensive if I asked what was wrong. She'd cancel plans last minute or suddenly have to work late. I figured it was just stress, maybe her job was getting to her or she was just overwhelmed. But the weird part was her phone. She'd hide it, keep it on silent all the time, and when she was with me, she'd disappear into the bathroom or go out to her car just to take calls. I didn't think much of it at first, just chalked it up to her being shady. Then I noticed her phone would vibrate constantly, texts, notifications. I mean, she'd get dozens a day. She'd delete conversations, or at least I caught her doing it a couple of times. She'd get defensive when I asked about her phone, saying I was paranoid that she was just texting friends or her sister. But I knew deep down there was more. And I also noticed her mood swings. One day she'd be sweet, almost too sweet, trying to butter me up. The next day she'd snap at me over nothing, roll her eyes, call me insecure. That's when I started feeling like I was losing grip on what was real. The biggest red flag, though, was her sudden obsession with her appearance. She bought new lingerie, started wearing perfume I'd never smelled before, and kept saying she was going out with friends, but wouldn't really tell me where. She'd lie about little things, where she went, who she saw, what she did. And honestly, I wasn't stupid. I kept quiet, trying to be patient because I loved her, but it was eating me up inside. I had this gnawing feeling that she was hiding something she didn't want me to find out. One night I was lying in bed, scrolling through my own phone, just killing time. Jessica was already asleep, or so I thought. As I was about to turn off my device, I saw a message pop up on her phone. I don't want to get into all the details, but it was from some guy named Tyler. The message was explicit, talking about meeting up, making it perfect, all these things. My stomach dropped. My first instinct was disbelief. This couldn't be happening. Jessica was the girl I was supposed to marry, the girl I trusted with everything. And yet there it was, clear as day, right in front of me. My heart started pounding and I felt numb. I stared at the screen, reading those messages again and again. I couldn't believe she'd been lying to me all this time, pretending to be faithful when she was secretly with someone else. It wasn't just a one-night thing either. I saw proof of that in their exchanges. Hours of texting, flirting, planning secret meetups. She lied about everything, about her job, her friends, even about us. How long had this been going on? How many nights had she been sneaking out or sneaking away to hide her affair? The betrayal cut deep, and I was furious, hurt, and honestly humiliated. I felt like I'd been played for a fool. I didn't wake her up that night. I just sat there, holding her phone, staring at those messages, feeling the weight of it all. I kept asking myself if I'd missed signs, if I should have seen it sooner. But deep down, I knew. I knew she'd been lying right in my face, and I had no idea how to process it. How do you deal with something like that? I thought I knew her, but it turns out I barely knew her at all. I was supposed to be her future husband, and now I was looking at the girl I loved, knowing she'd been screwing my best friend behind my back. That's when everything started to unravel. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd seen and felt the night before. I couldn't sleep after I found those messages. My stomach was tight with a mixture of rage, betrayal, and deep sadness. I kept asking myself how I could have missed all the signs. Was I blind? Did I want to believe she was different? Or was I just fooling myself because I didn't want to face the truth? I got out of bed slowly, trying to compose myself. Jessica was still asleep, her arm thrown over the pillow like she didn't have a care in the world. She looked innocent, peaceful even. That made the whole thing worse. Because in that moment, I realized she had been lying to me every day, hiding her affair like it was some dirty secret she couldn't bear to share. It was a punch to the gut, knowing I'd been so blind, so eager to believe in us that I ignored all the warning signs. I decided I needed to confront her. I couldn't just pretend like I didn't see what I saw. That night, I waited until she woke up, and I sat her down at the dining table. She looked confused, probably thinking I was going to apologize or beg her to stay. Little did she know, I was ready to rip everything apart. I looked her in the eyes and I told her I knew about Tyler. Her face went pale and her eyes darted around like she was trying to come up with some excuse. For a moment I thought she might deny it, but she just sat there silent. That silence felt deafening. Then she turned her bitchy, manipulative tone on me. "Oh, so now you're accusing me of something. Really, Mark? You're just jealous because I've been busy with work and friends. You're overthinking as usual." She smiled, that fake, condescending smile, like she was the queen of the world and I was just some insecure loser. I didn't buy it. I told her I saw the messages and I wanted the truth. That's when she started lying, of course. "It's nothing, Mark, just some stupid flirtation, nothing serious. We're not even sleeping together, it's just sex, okay? It doesn't mean anything, you're overreacting." I was stunned. I couldn't believe how quick she was to dismiss it, to minimize what she'd done. To her, it was just a game, just some meaningless sex. She acted like I was an idiot for even catching her. That's when I realized she'd been lying for months, probably longer. She was so good at it, so convincing, that I started questioning everything about myself. Who was I? Was I even married to the woman I thought I knew, or had I just been fooling myself all along? I couldn't keep my composure anymore. I felt my chest tight and my hands shake. I was furious at her, but more than that, I was heartbroken. How could she do this? How could she betray me, lie to my face, and then brush it off like it was nothing? I knew she was a liar, a bitchy, manipulative liar, but hearing her say those things to my face made it real. I felt so small, so stupid for trusting her. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I just sat there staring at her, trying to process what I'd uncovered. After that, I told her I needed some space. I couldn't stay in that house, not with her lying right next to me. I told her I didn't want to hear any more lies, that I needed time to think. She looked annoyed, even angry, and started saying I was overreacting again, that I was jealous and insecure, but I knew the truth now. There was no more pretending. She had been lying for months, maybe longer, and I was just waking up to it. I left her there, went to grab my phone, and just sat in silence. My mind kept racing through all the memories, the good times, the fights, the moments I thought she was mine. Now I just felt broken. I didn't even know who I was anymore. This wasn't just about infidelity. It was about everything I believed in, everything I thought I had. I thought we were building something real, but it was all a lie. And I had no idea how to pick up the pieces and move on from this mess. The days that followed are a blur. I didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to face anything or anyone. I felt so betrayed, so stupid for trusting a woman who'd been lying in my bed, texting my best friend behind my back. I kept replaying that moment when I saw her messages, how calm I was, how everything just shattered inside me. I'd always thought I was a pretty rational guy, but that morning, I felt like I was losing my mind. The betrayal hit me like a freight train and I didn't know how to stop it. I kept questioning everything, myself, her, the future I'd envisioned. Jessica, of course, was still acting like nothing had happened. She'd send me little texts, trying to guilt me into talking, saying she was sorry but that it was just one mistake, that she loved me. The thing is, I knew better. She's always been a master at manipulation, bitchy, sharp-tongued, and a pro at lying her way out of anything she wanted. She's the kind of girl who can switch from sweet to bitchy in a second. Her excuse was always that I was insecure or paranoid, that I was smothering her. But now, looking back, I see all the signs I missed, the tiny lies she told, the way she'd keep her phone hidden. I decided I had to confront her face to face. I couldn't just let her brush this off or pretend like it didn't matter. So I called her, told her I was coming over. I remember walking into that house, feeling like I was walking into a trap. Jessica was standing there in the kitchen, pretending to be casual, but I could see the nervousness behind her eyes. She tried to act innocent, tried to act like everything was fine, but I wasn't falling for her bullshit anymore. I sat her down again, and this time I laid it all out. how I'd seen the messages, how her constant lying was destroying me. Her face twisted into that bitchy smirk, like she was enjoying her little game. "Mark, you're overreacting. It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything." "Tyler's just a friend. You're blowing this out of proportion," she said, voice dripping with disdain. I was so furious I could barely speak. I told her I didn't want to hear her lies anymore, that I knew she'd been cheating on me with Tyler and I wanted her to come clean. That's when she got really bitchy, her tone shifting to that condescending edge she always used when she was trying to manipulate someone. "You're just jealous because Tyler's better in bed than you. Honestly, Mark, you're no catch. You're a good guy, but you're so insecure. Maybe you're just not enough for me," she spat, eyes narrowing. I felt my blood boil. How could she say that after everything she'd done? How could she try to turn it around and make me the bad guy? The truth was, I'd never felt so humiliated and angry in my life. I told her she was a liar, a manipulative bitch, and that I was done. I'd had enough. I couldn't wrap my head around how she could be so callous, so cold. I asked her why she did it, why she cheated with my best friend, why she kept me in the dark for so long. And her answer: that I was just a boring, insecure guy who didn't satisfy her anymore. That Tyler was exciting and she needed that for herself. She said she was sorry, but her tone made it clear she didn't really mean it. She was just mad that I'd found out, that I wasn't going to let her keep hiding her lies. The thing is, I wanted to believe she was joking, maybe some cruel joke or a temporary lapse of judgment. But deep down, I knew better. I knew she'd lied, manipulated, and cheated. And I knew I couldn't stay with someone like that. The realization hit me hard. How do you rebuild trust after something like this? Can you even do that? Or is it better just to cut your losses and walk away? I told her I was leaving, not just that day, but forever. I packed my things, trying to keep it together, but inside I was shattered. I kept thinking about all the years, all the moments I thought she loved me. Turns out, she had been screwing my best friend behind my back for who knows how long, and I was just another fool in her game. As I drove away from her house, I felt an emptiness I'd never experienced before. It was like the core of my identity had been ripped out, and I didn't even know who I was anymore. The girl I loved, the girl I wanted to marry, she was gone, replaced by some manipulative stranger who didn't care about me at all. That day, I learned a harsh truth. Trust is fragile, and some people will lie, cheat, and manipulate right in front of you because they think they can get away with it. And no matter how much you want to believe in someone, sometimes the only choice left is to walk away and try to rebuild from the ashes. After I left her house, I didn't go straight home. I needed a moment to breathe, to clear my head. I drove around for a while, not really knowing where I was going. Every song on the radio felt like it was mocking me. Every mile marker a reminder of how much my life had changed in just a few days. I kept asking myself how I'd been so blind, how I missed all those signs, how I trusted her even when she was so obviously hiding something. The worst part was feeling so small, so stupid, like I'd been played for a fool all along. I ended up at a bar not far from my apartment. I figured maybe a few drinks would help me forget the pain just for a little while. I wasn't much of a drinker, but I needed something to numb the shock. I sat at the bar, ordered a whiskey neat, and stared into the amber liquid. The bartender, a guy named Steve, gave me a sympathetic look, but I didn't want to talk. Honestly, I didn't want anyone to know what was really going on inside my head. I just wanted to drown the mess of feelings I was experiencing: anger, disappointment, heartbreak. As I sat there, I kept thinking about Jessica, how she'd lied and manipulated me. How she had this bitchy, nasty streak that she always hid behind her fake smiles. I remembered how she'd be so sweet when she wanted something, then turn icy when she didn't get her way. That realization hit me hard, that I'd been dealing with a person who was capable of such deception. It made me question everything about our relationship. Was it ever real? Or was it just a long con she'd been running on me? After a while, I couldn't drink anymore. The alcohol wasn't helping, it just made everything feel more distant, more disconnected. I left the bar, walking back to my car. On the way, I saw a woman standing outside, smoking a cigarette. She looked familiar. Turns out it was Lisa, some girl I knew from work. We didn't talk much, just exchanged a few words. She looked at me like she knew I was going through something, and I guess I looked like I'd been hit by a truck. I didn't want to unload everything on her, so I just told her I was going through a rough patch and needed to get away. Driving home that night, I kept thinking about the future. What now? Do I try to save what's left of the relationship? Do I forgive her and just move on? Or do I cut her out of my life completely? The truth is, I was leaning toward the last one. I couldn't see myself staying with someone who lied to my face, who cheated with my best friend, and who looked at me like I was nothing. But then there was the part of me that wondered, can people really change after something like this? Or am I just kidding myself, holding on to memories that are already broken? I felt so conflicted, angry at her, disgusted by myself for trusting her, and yet still somehow craving closure. I didn't want to just forget everything, but I also knew I couldn't keep living in this chaos. I had to make a choice, and I had to do it soon. That night, I slept in my clothes on the couch. I didn't want to go back into that bed, not until I figured out what I was going to do. I kept thinking about all the things she said, how she called me insecure, how she blamed me for her own betrayal. Part of me wanted to pick up the phone and call Tyler, ask him what he thought he was doing, but I knew that wouldn't bring me any peace. No, what I needed was clarity, and right then, all I had was a pounding headache and a broken heart. I kept asking myself if I'd ever be able to trust again, or if I was doomed to walk around feeling like a fool forever. Over the next few days, I started to piece together what had happened, though I knew I'd never get the full story. I kept replaying everything in my head, her lies, her sneaking around, those messages from Tyler. It was like a bad movie I couldn't turn off. I told myself I had to decide what to do next. Part of me wanted to fight for her, to believe it was just a moment of weakness, that she'd come back, say she was sorry, and everything would go back to normal. But deep down, I knew better, that betrayal wasn't just a one-time slip-up, it was part of who she was. I sat her down again, finally, after a couple of days. I needed closure, even if it hurt like hell. I called her, told her I wanted to talk face to face. When she showed up at my apartment, she looked defensive and irritated, like I was the one causing trouble. But I was past caring about her attitude. I just wanted the truth. I asked her why she did it, why she cheated with Tyler and lied so blatantly. Her reply: "Because you weren't enough for me anymore. You're boring, Mark. You're insecure, and I needed excitement. Tyler makes me feel alive." Her words hit me like a punch. That was her reason, that I was boring and insecure. It made me feel sick. She kept talking, trying to blame me for everything, saying I was controlling, that I didn't understand her needs, that she was just looking for something different. She called herself a bitchy princess who needed her freedom and adventure. I couldn't believe the audacity. She was sitting there trying to justify it all, like her betrayal was some kind of twisted rebellion. I looked at her and realized that she'd been lying, cheating, manipulating the entire time. All those little lies, the fake smiles, the secret rendezvous, it was all part of her game. I couldn't stay with someone who saw me as a punching bag for her selfish needs. I told her I was done, that I wasn't going to be a part of her lies anymore. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't see what she'd done. I wanted her out of my life, and I meant it. She tried to argue, calling me insecure again, saying I was overreacting, that I was just jealous of Tyler, but I didn't care. I felt nothing but emptiness, the kind you get when your whole world collapses around you. I knew I had to rebuild, even if I didn't know how. The thing that stings the most is that I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. But love isn't supposed to feel like this. It's supposed to make you feel safe, valued, respected. And she took all that away with her lies and her sex with my best friend. I kept thinking about the good times, the plans we made, the future I'd envisioned. It all seemed so pointless now. Why did I even trust her? Why did I believe she was worth fighting for? So I packed my stuff again. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I knew I had to get out of that toxic cycle. I couldn't be with someone who saw me as a joke, who thought I was just a safe place to dump her frustrations or a backup when she was bored. I realized that I deserved better. I deserved someone who wouldn't lie to my face, who wouldn't cheat and manipulate every chance they got. That night, I stayed at a friend's place, trying to process what had happened, trying to make sense of it all. The most painful part was knowing that I wouldn't get my happily ever after with Jessica. She was gone, replaced by a girl who was selfish, manipulative, and cold. No amount of apologies or tears could fix that. What I learned is that sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes the person you trust the most turns out to be the one who hurts you the deepest. And the hardest thing is accepting that some betrayals are so severe that they change everything forever. I'm still trying to rebuild myself, but I know one thing for sure: trust is fragile, and I'll never let someone do that to me again. It's been a few weeks since I finally walked away from Jessica and that nightmare she created. Honestly, I'm still trying to pick up the pieces of who I am after all of this. One thing I've realized is that betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it shatters your sense of self. I used to think I knew her, thought she was the one. Turns out she was just a master at hiding who she really was: manipulative, selfish, and completely lacking in respect or loyalty. I won't lie, it's been a hell of a ride through anger, sadness, and confusion. There were nights I'd lie awake questioning everything, wondering if I'd ever trust anyone again. But slowly, I've come to accept that I can't control what she did or how she lied. What I can control is what I do next. I've started seeing a therapist, and I'm working on rebuilding my confidence piece by piece. I've also cut ties with Tyler and Jessica completely. No contact, no. Looking back, that's the only way I can heal. What I've learned from this is that betrayal can teach you a lot about yourself. It's about resilience, about realizing your worth and not letting someone else's lies define you. I now know that I don't need to accept disrespect or manipulation from anyone. I deserve honesty, loyalty, and love that's genuine. I also learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't some grand scheme or revenge plan. It's simply walking away and choosing to be better, stronger, and wiser. Looking back, I see that this experience has made me more cautious, but also more aware of what I want and what I won't stand for. I don't regret loving her, at least not fully. But I do regret trusting someone who didn't deserve my trust. I hope others can learn from my story. Don't ignore the red flags and don't settle for someone who cheats, manipulates, and lies. You're worth more than that. You deserve someone who respects you, who loves you for who you are, not someone who cheats with your best friend and then calls you insecure when you finally find out. So, here I am, rebuilding my life from the ruins. It's not easy and it's going to take time, but I know I'll come out stronger. Trust is a fragile thing, but I'll never let anyone take it from me again. I'll keep moving forward, learning to trust again, just more carefully this time. And if there's one thing I want anyone reading this to know, don't settle for less. You deserve honesty and respect, always.